Hi, and welcome to the Free Copa Birth Early Pregnancy Series. If you want to learn more about natural hospital birth, subscribe now. In this video, we're talking about how to choose a natural birth-friendly doctor or midwife. My name is Katie Griffin. I'm a registered nurse, Lamaze certified childbirth educator, and the lead educator for Copa Birth. I'm also the mother of 6, almost 7. It's so important that you trust the caregiver that you invite to your birth. His or her attitudes about birth will inevitably affect your labor experience. If you choose a doctor or midwife who is known to push labor inductions, epidurals, and C-sections, your chance of having a natural birth has just decreased. On the other hand, if you choose a provider that believes that birth is safe and normal, yet is prepared to intervene if necessary, your chances for a natural birth are so much higher. We're going to focus today on options for those who plan to give birth in the hospital. If you're planning a home birth or a birth center birth, I've linked to a blog post below that will provide more specific information for your needs. In a hospital, you can choose between an obstetrician, also known as an OBGYN, or a certified nurse midwife, or CNM. Most women in the US will give birth with an OBGYN. They spend 4 years after medical school studying pregnancy and childbirth. They can treat both low and high risk moms and can perform a section if needs be. CNMs are registered nurses who have earned a master's degree specializing in pregnancy and birth. They focus on healthy, low-risk pregnancies and consult with doctors as needed. They do not perform cesarean births, but can do many other procedures. Statistically speaking, women are more likely to experience a natural birth with a midwife than an OB, but there are a lot of factors that go into that statistic. I've personally experienced 4 of my natural births under the care of an OB, so I'm certainly not saying that it can't be done. But if you're anticipating a healthy, low-risk pregnancy, a midwife might be a great option for you. Studies have shown that women who gave birth in a hospital with a certified nurse midwife were less likely to experience episiotomies and assisted deliveries, more likely to have labor start on its own, and less likely to use pain medication in labor. Unfortunately, midwives aren't as accessible as an OBGYN, and not everyone is a good candidate. If you're pregnant with twins or triplets, if you have medical complications, or your baby requires high-risk care, you will likely be safer with an OBGYN who specializes in high-risk care. Also, midwives are much less common than OBGYNs. You may not have one within a reasonable distance from your home or one that's in network with your insurance. Still, some OBs are very natural birth friendly. I've included the link to our blog post, Interview Questions to Ask OBGYN or Midwife. For now, let's hit on some of the key elements you should consider in a provider interview. Call and ask some questions of the office staff. For example, does the provider accept my insurance? Which hospitals do the doctors or midwives have privileges at? Meaning, where will I give birth? How many different OBs or midwives work in the practice? How much time is allotted for a prenatal visit? After you talk to the office staff and come in for your visit, you want to consider the provider's personality and bedside manner. When you talk to the provider, do you get a good vibe? Do you feel comfortable talking to him or her and asking questions? Do they put you at ease or make you feel self-conscious or rushed? Some general info you're going to want to gather, like how many births do you and your practice attend each month? How many of those births are vaginal? How many are cesarean? Who will assist the delivery if you aren't available when I go into labor? In an uncomplicated delivery, how much of the labor and birth do you typically attend? You're also going to want to get a feel for this provider's birth philosophy, like how many of your clients attempt natural birth without an epidural or other pain medication? In what ways do you support moms who want a natural birth? How does this practice feel about birth plans? How do you feel about doulas at the birth? Then you're going to want to ask questions about their labor policies. For instance, what is your policy on labor induction? How often do you do episiotomies? What are your standard protocols about IVs, IV fluids, and fetal monitoring during labor? Then you want to ask some questions about the hospital policies. For example, how many people are allowed in the room when I'm laboring? Can I move around during labor? Is there a tub I can labor in? Can I eat during labor? Now, ladies, this is not an exhaustive list of every question you could possibly ask, But remember that your time to interview your provider is likely going to be limited. So you should choose the questions that are most important to you. And also remember that you have the freedom to change your mind and switch to a different provider or practice later on in your pregnancy if you feel it's necessary. I actually had a personal experience with changing practice. This pregnancy, COVID-19 was in full swing. My hospital shut down doula access for moms in the hospital. I have a doula who I'm planning to bring to the birth with me to help my husband and I, and also to take pictures of the birth. And so this was really important to me. So I spoke with my doctor about it and decided to reach out to another well-recommended healthcare provider at a different hospital where their policy did allow doulas. So I sent them my medical records, I set up an original prenatal appointment, and as fate would have it, over the course of that time, my hospital started allowing doula care back in. So I canceled my appointment and decided to stay with my original provider. But doula care was something that was pretty non-negotiable to me at that point, and so for me it was worth considering a change of practice. The take-home message here is that there are legitimate reasons to be intentional about which OB or midwife you choose to trust with your birth experience. As you do your homework and make an informed, intentional choice, you are setting yourself up for the best birth experience possible. So moms, what was most important to you when choosing a healthcare provider? Let us know in the comments below.